In Geometry Dash there's quite a few gauntlets that contain demon difficulty levels, but there's something different about the Demon Gauntlet. Releasing with the launch of 2.1, the differences don't stop with it being the first gauntlet with demons. It contains some of the 2.0 update's most infamous and challenging easy and medium demons, so I finally decided to beat it, to see if it's really as tough as it seems. The first level of the Demon Gauntlet is Sidestep. Widely considered as one of the game's hardest easy demons, I had heard horror stories before playing, but luckily I didn't struggle all that much. There were some slightly tough ship corridors, and more precise timings than I was used to for an easy demon, but difficulty wise, I wouldn't think of this as much more than a harder end easy demon. Being a 2.0 level, I was happy to see simpler visuals and gameplay. It was nice to see a two-tone black and blue aesthetic with plain editor objects, as well as gameplay focusing on the first 5 added game modes. This simplicity was refreshing, especially with me beating this right after I've done the Space Gauntlet entries. Next up is Traction. Visuals wise, this is the most generic 2.0 level you can imagine, with no coherent colour scheme or block usage. It's not unpleasant to look at, but it didn't feel special at all. The gameplay also disappointed me a little, as the majority of it was low easy demon difficulty, with 3 slightly annoying choke points. There were 2 tricky ship corridors, and a tight wave section with hitbox abuse. Despite that, this level is definitely easier than Sidestep, making its placement as the second level of this gauntlet confusing. This isn't a bad level, it's just largely average. The midway point of the Demon Gauntlet is Mechanical Showdown. This is the first medium demon of the gauntlet, and the first level with a hard enough difficulty to properly feel justified with being in this gauntlet for me. I'd consider this level around mid-range medium demon difficulty, with a large proportion of the drop being noticeably challenging. The ship part starting with the drop had some tight gaps, and the club step like UFO section was made even harder by the movements, plus the tricky timing based asymmetrical duel towards the end giving me the most grief. Mechanical Showdown also has incredible theming despite using simpler editor objects. It achieves a grimy mechanical feel really well for 2.0. The song choice is almost perfect too. With all this considered, Mechanical Showdown has cemented itself as one of my favourite 2.0 demons. I'll be honest, I didn't really enjoy Vibration at all. It's another generic styled level, so there's nothing hugely interesting about it visually, with the decoration becoming increasingly uninspired as the level goes on. I did like the look of the part at the beginning of the drop though, in fairness. I don't have much positive to say about the gameplay either, it was very spammy and repetitive. Once you got used to the amount of fast inputs needed, it wasn't that difficult, besides a wave choke point towards the start of the drop increasing your playtime. While playing I was just waiting for me to beat it, which is never a good sign. Demon Gauntlet ends off strongly, with Hell. Before playing I had heard people complain about some pretty brutal gameplay parts, so I was eager to see how hard it really was. The majority of the second half wasn't that difficult, but the beginning of the drop was really testing. 13 to 39% of my whole body tensing, with the infamous wave section starting off the drop, and multiple tricky orb timings in the ship, followed by a tight corridor. The ending is also relentless with the mini wave, and the ending ship part can really mess you up if your nerves take over. The difficulty of the gameplay makes it a mental challenge as well as a skill challenge, making it a perfect ending for the gauntlet in my opinion. I've always liked a lot of Sir Punch's 2.0 levels, as they were some of the first impressive art levels. This level unsurprisingly having a lot of bloody, red and hellish visuals, as well as some neat visualizer effects. With all that said, I think I slightly prefer this over Mechanical Showdown. So now that I've completed the Demon Gauntlets, what are my opinions on it? Bear in mind I tried to lower my expectations a little bit, as this was released right at the beginning of 2.1 with average skill level, and standards for good levels were a lot lower. Difficulty wise I was a little disappointed with the 3 easy demons and just 2 medium demons, as I feel like this gauntlet is presented as one of the hardest challenges this game's core progression has to offer. I feel like some of the more recent gauntlets like the Castle Water and maybe the second NCS gauntlets are more difficult, and definitely the Doom Gauntlet considering it features 2 hard demons. I was a fan of most of the levels, but I was a little disappointed that it included 2 generic styled levels. These are really the best demons 2.0 has to offer. A level like X by Triaxis immediately springs to mind as a more worthy inclusion. I have said a lot of negative things here, but it is still a largely enjoyable experience, just one that has aged quite significantly.